So, good afternoon to one and all present. I, Dr. Sheetal Kamble, on behalf of School of Sciences, PP Savani University, welcome you all for the 1 week online faculty development program on research methodology. So, I take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed speaker and all the participants. So, we are honored to have with us Dr. P.N. Tekwani. So, Professor Dr. P.N. Tekwani is presently working as Director, Directorate of Research and Innovation, and Dean, Faculty of Doctoral Studies and Research, Nirma University, Ahmedabad. He also serves as Professor of Electrical Engineering at Institute of Technology, and he received PhD degree from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, with tag Corporation Medal Award for the best PhD thesis. So he is the first rank holder in ME and university gold medalist in BE. In his professional career span of more than 25 years, he has worked for Amtech Electronics India Limited, Gandhinagar. So during 2012 and to 2018, he served as head of department and chairman of board of studies of electrical engineering, electronics and communication engineering, and instrumentation and control engineering programs of Nirma University. He has also worked as director, Institute of Technology, and dean, Faculty of Technology and Engineering of Nirma University. So he has also worked as member of Academic Council of Nirma University, Senior Administrative Officer in the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, and PG Program Coordinator, Professor in charge of Industry Institution Interaction Cell. So his research interests are in the areas of power electronics, machines, power supplies, solar inverters, energy conservation, multi-level inverters, power quality, smart grids, and he has received many prestigious awards like Professor Muhammad H. Rashid Best Paper Award 2017 in IEEE International Conference, then IST CVM Award for Best Engineering College Teacher in Gujarat in 2014, then IST LNT National Award 2011 for guiding best MTech thesis in electrical and electronics engineering, then Young Engineer National Award 2010 to 11 from Institution of Engineers India, then National Award for Best Research by Young Faculty, then Young Engineer National Award 2008. So he visited Israel as a part of delegation and invited by Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel to attend Discover Israel for Young Leaders program, Higher Education, Innovation and Startup Ecosystem in November 2018. And he has authored more than 96 national and international research papers. So Dr. Tekwani has won Best Paper Award several times at different national and international conferences. He is Young Associate of Indian National Academy of Engineering. So I welcome you, sir, and I request you to start with today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. So, participants, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Fine. So, today
Yes,
we are going to discuss for the next 2 hours about a very interesting topic that is, let me share the presentation also simultaneously, and then okay. So, is this first slide visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Fine. Okay. So the topic is tips on writing research papers, thesis, and project proposals. This particular topic is very important for all the researchers, teachers, because see, most of the time the outcome of the research is measured by the quality of publications. Thesis, of course, is the part of your degree, whether it is a master's degree or PhD degree. And then the project proposals, because we need to write proposals. And once we write many proposals, a few may get clicked, and then we get some good funding for our research. It's have become inevitable now. And being teachers also, it's now mandatory for us to secure several defined marks in the criteria of research also by means of publications, funded projects, patents, and many more. So all of us must learn that how to effectively write good journal papers, how to write very effective thesis, and the proposals which have got more chances of acceptance. So with that we start. First we will discuss about paper writing. And when it is writing, it includes all three, more or less, whether it is paper, whether it is proposal, or it is thesis, because several rules are common and they are equally applicable, of course, depending on the context, but they are almost equally applicable, whether it is paper or thesis or a proposal. So when we are discussing paper writing, it does not mean that some of the things are not applicable to other two domains also. They are applicable, but we need to understand it properly, that how we can apply in other two domains also. So writing a good research paper, I say that this is an art. This is an art. And we need to learn it. We need to acquire this art through practice. Through practice. Now, listen carefully. That this is very important. So these 2 hours we are going to focus. So here, writing a research paper is an art. We have to master this art. Initially, you may find it little difficult, but once you write some good papers and they are published in good publishing, good journals by reputed publishing houses, then you get a feel of satisfaction. Not only satisfaction, then recognition also comes behind it. But these things will not happen overnight. A researcher has to put a lot of efforts while writing a paper and while learning this art. So the question may be that why do I need to do research and how do I go about writing a research paper? And finally, once you do research, of course, but understand that thesis you can write or paper you can write. Any researcher can write this only once some substantial research is done. So one thing is always there in the background, that is we have to do good research first. And this is the program of research methodology, so you must have learned various other topics also. So once you have done some good quality research, then you are ready here with some material to be shared, to be published. Either you write your thesis as part of a requirement of degree, or you publish a good paper. So how do I go about writing a research paper? That's the question. steps in research. Now, so that's all. Without doing research, I cannot write research paper. Many times, no, some researchers say, okay, we write review paper. Fine. But as I understand, review papers are generally written by the professors or authorities who have worked continuously for several years on that area. So a beginner writing any review paper may not be that effective. So that is why I am saying that we should always understand that we are initially trying to write research papers. Task is complicated. Even research is also not a simple task. But every task, no matter how challenging, can be turned into a manageable set of smaller tasks. So you break these tasks into smaller tasks. And exactly same thing we do when we write our paper or proposal or thesis also. We break this, documents into some portions, some parts, some paragraphs, you know, uh, and then we arrange them in a sequence in such a way that there is a seamless reading. So you are selecting a topic initially. Your teacher may assign a topic, or you will be given a general topic and you will have to, when teacher I mean to say guide, or you will be given a general topic and you will have to focus on some part of the topic, or you will be given a complete freedom to select a topic on your own. Now all these three possibilities are there, and different researchers may get different opportunities, but any one out of these three. And finally, selecting the topic itself, is a task for the research. And in a similar way, once you do the research and then after research, when you are writing a paper, then giving the title to your research paper is also a very, challenging task. Okay. And finding research resources, ask a person. Now, person whom you can ask, basically peers, your guide, other senior professors, your lab mates. So these are the people with whom you generally talk and get information about what is current scenario in the area, and then objectives of the research, what you are planning to do, resources properly, cite the original resources. So initially you need to find the research resources. And many times good quality papers are again resources for us. Our research supervisor, our mentor, our guide, our laboratory fellow mates. These are all the peers. We seek advice and we keep discussing with them about our research topics. So once you have decided to do that, some information resources. Now see, today there is no dearth of resources. On the contrary, we have large number of resources, and sometimes it becomes very difficult to identify which is the authentic resource. So the difficulty is at the other side. We find a lot of resources, then we have to be very cautious while referring those and understand that which information is accurate. Fine. So getting to know your topic, that what is that you are working on. Select a few books and review the table of contents. Then go through some books, visit glossary and read definitions of unfamiliar words. Take a look at the index, look at the bibliography. So you are just getting to know your topic. Very initial stage, initial step. And the final in this stage is gather some keywords. So you are here starting your research, trying to gather some keywords on which you can really work upon. So you need to introducing your topic. What makes this topic interesting, you tell others. So by telling others, you are telling again and again yourself also, and you are reconfirming it. That's the psychology behind it. What will you teach others? What are your opinions about this topic? What are you trying to prove? You discuss this with your peers, the people whom you trust, and then they can really give you good advice, good guidance, because they are also working in the same area. So when you introduce some topic to others, you are learning it better and better. Initially, there is always a risk that you are also not sure that ultimately your hypothesis will be formed and you will be able to solve a problem. But you have to start anyway somewhere. So you gather the guiding questions. Guiding questions will help you to focus your research. Be sure to have your teacher review your guiding questions before you begin. And guiding questions should not be too broad or too narrow. And sometimes no, you may not get the answer to all the guiding questions, but you have to try to find out one by one answers to all these guiding questions. Uh, I hope no, it makes sense, right? Does it make sense? The participants, we are just starting the research topic, and then we will go for the writing. Then taking notes is also very important. See, unless you take notes, you just cannot write. You never know that what is the source of information. So once you have gathered your resources and identified your guiding questions, you will be ready to read with purpose. Read with purpose is very, very important. And this, while reading with purpose, your notes should record only ideas that address your guiding questions. So ideas may come anytime, and then if you are not attentive enough, ideas will go. So as a researcher, we must develop good note-taking habit. Very, very essential and important. And you have to cite other references also. We respect the work done by other researchers in the same area, because we cannot just work in air. Definitely, whatever research problem we are finding, somebody has already worked on it, and we are trying to do the delta improvement in that technology or science area. So definitely, we have to see that we give proper justice to others' work also, and we appreciate that. So whenever you are quoting something or paraphrases, or whenever someone else's idea you are presenting, then at that time, we have to give some acknowledgement, and we should respect the other's work also. Fine. So writing your research paper, now we come. Research paper writing is, it requires a lot of thinking, system level thinking, systematic thinking, and then you have to break down it at component level. So structural decomposition is required, top-down design to break the big task of writing a research paper into smaller, manageable tasks. Of course, it's a tedious task, and it is iterative too at the same time. Don't feel that whatever first draft you are writing and then you can submit it. Of course not. So once you write something, you need to share it, and then you find, okay, what information can be shared in which way. So you write article, letter to editor, brochure, poster, presentation, drawing, video report, give a speech, give an oral report, whatever. But most of the time, in our journey of research, we are much focused on writing articles in good journals. So here is a student and says, the student gives paper, what he has written, to the guide. And guide says here, I made comments on the paper you wrote. So student is seeing that paper and now guide says, okay, I got a little carried away with the reading. And now you can see the amount of corrections given. It says carried away with the red ink. And finally, there is a conclusion on the last page. So I summarized my comments in the back page and says, guide says rewrite. Now the poor student, doesn't know how to write, he has to rewrite. So this is the point. We must learn how to write a research paper and what are the steps to write it effectively. What's the importance of each and every portion of it. So let's try and understand that. What is a research paper? A research paper is a piece of writing that provides information about a particular topic that you have researched. This is to be underlined, that you have researched. I repeat, that you have researched. So see that you have to do research first. And then you have that possession on the topic, on the idea, on the findings. And based on that possession, you are writing something. So do good research. I'm not going to talk about those things. I just initially touched upon on some aspects of it. So it is assumed that some good research is already done and now you are writing a paper. It is not as simple as writing a report about your summer vacation. Yeah, it makes a difference because, it's altogether a different task. It's not our writing a vacation report. So, where to publish a research paper? There is again a question. Journal or transaction or proceedings, technical magazine, conferences, letter to editor. All this can be at national or international level. And the most reputed is the quality journals transactions. And even today, if you see the ranking agencies, the accrediting agencies, they all look for Scopus database, Web of Science database. So the database which is used, you should have, like researchers now, we have the Scopus ID, we have the ORCID ID, you have the Scopus ID, and based on that ID, people can refer our papers. We are sitting in one corner and person sitting in other corner of the world can easily access our papers through our DOI, digital object identifier of the paper number. And the DOI gives all the information. Person sitting anywhere can refer. And then we researchers communicate with each other. We get recognition. We appreciate others' work. We share. And technology information dissemination also takes place. And that's how we contribute for the mankind, for the humankind. And then the technology or science, we develop it further and further for the well-being of this humankind. That's what research. So journal, transaction, proceeding, these papers are very, very important. Highly reputed journals with good impact factor, good indexing. Then there are chances that you get more citation. So here we rate the journal papers much compared to conference papers. What do you gain by writing a research paper? See, now this is a very simple question, but comes in everybody's mind here. Okay, what do we really gain? You will get experience in writing research paper. This sounds to be very simple and silly, but yes, that is what. You will get experience in writing research papers. Yeah, because this experience is very, very important. And then finally you get many things. Eventually, you will learn a great deal about a topic that interests you. You will gain the experience of being proud of your accomplishment that rewards in a long run. See, the rewards will not come overnight in case of research. Even though many Nobel laureates, they get Nobel Prize after many years of their invention, because by the time the society understands the importance of that, the importance of their contribution, and then they are recognized. So we have to keep doing research, keep publishing, and then it will get recognition for you. Then person sitting in any other corner of the world will come to know, oh yes, he is the researcher who writes nice papers, who does good research in this area. So then you are known by your area of research. Finally, you are known by your area of research through your papers, through your publications. You are widening your circle of researchers, your contacts, your linkages, your collaborations, and finally you may have more interdisciplinary projects, research, inter-institute projects, research, more collaborations, and better research, and more citations, more and more recognition. This is how the cycle works. Pillai madam, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Fine,
Yes,
fine.
yes,
Yes, sir.
Because it should not happen that I am alone talking here and nobody is listening. So in between, I thought, let me just ask. Okay, fine. So that's what. You gain a lot. See, when I wrote my first paper, today I think that my papers are touching now 100. Today, when the first paper when I wrote in 1996, I'm talking about. And then when it was accepted and finally it was about to come on the web, I was very much thrilled to see that on the web. Oh, that yes, it will be available and then everybody will see that. So that kind of joy that you get, that kind of satisfaction that a researcher gets, that is also, you know, very much helpful. It motivates a researcher. So now I think you will understand that why do we write papers. That not only that we are serving for the science or technology or for the humankind, but at the same time we get a lot of recognition and satisfaction and sense of accomplishment, and then the satisfaction of contributing. Very, very important. How to write a paper? Now this is what we are talking about. There are only 3 simple steps. Oh, see, paper writing can be learned within 3 steps. What else do we want, right? But no, these 3 steps, in between there are many steps. So you need to read between lines also. But this is very simple. How I can explain that how to write a paper? So you say, tell your readers what you are going to say. This is the first step of writing the paper. Tell your readers what you are going to say. Then say it. And then the last step is tell them what you said. So it sounds very simple, but this is all about. This is how we do it. You know, paper writing. You have to initially tell, okay, what is this paper all about? And then you tell it. And finally you say, yes, I said. But then this complete, 3 steps are very dense steps. In between, you have to read so many things. But this is how I can start explaining that how to write a paper. Very simple. Keep this in mind always and ask yourself when you are writing a paper whether these 3 steps are followed or not. If any one of that is not followed properly, you will get comments from the reviewers, referees, that how about this or how about that. Yes. Now these 3 steps are broken down into 10 steps. As I said, we need to read between the lines here. So 10 general steps in writing the research paper. The first, find a subject, read a general article, formulate a temporary thesis and a temporary outline, prepare the preliminary bibliography, take notes from relevant sources, label note cards and revise working outline, write the first draft, revise the text, write introduction and conclusion. See, the first draft of paper is already written. And now you are writing introduction and conclusion and of course the abstract. So this is to be understood that ultimately certain portions are written at the end after writing the paper. We will see these things in detail. Fill in parenthetical references or footnotes on draft. Put the paper in final form. This is, these are few steps. And now we need to learn these steps, that how we really write the paper. So the paper has got several portions, and the first thing that we should follow, if we want to write a good paper, we should read good papers first. Learn how people write. See, if you just start writing without reading good papers, you may miss several things here. So how I learned, I am sharing my experience, that initially we need to read papers written by renowned professors, authorities working in your subject area, whatever the area in which you are doing research. For me, it is power electronics and drives and machines and motor control and inverters, converters, and solar inverters, power quality. But for you, the area may be different accordingly. See that who are the best authors in your area. How do they write? Read their papers. Read their papers. Read their papers. Read and read initially. So you learn, okay, how people write. And then the first key is find a topic. We already said that you have to find a topic for the research. And the topic should not be too broad or too small, too narrow. It should be a doable topic for the research. Then look it up, where to begin, research questions, library, periodical, more resources. Then the questions will be what, where, when, why, who. Try to find out the answers. You may not get answers of all, but one by one, someday you will get it. And discuss with your guide also how to do it. Then, what a great view. So you have to take the overview of your research paper also when you are writing. Take a look, glance, and see how is the topic going. Take notes. I already said note-taking ability is very important for researchers. Then note-taking, because see, when you are writing thesis also for the young researchers, I would like to say, when you are writing thesis, see, as PhD student, we do research for many years. First year of research, second year, third year, fourth year. If you are lucky enough, you start writing, then fifth year or maybe sixth year, who knows, seventh year. It depends. There are many factors on it which I would not like to discuss. But then finally, when you start writing, if you have not kept all your resources properly noted down, then the problem is you never know, okay, from where did I get this, from where I referred this data came from which sources and all. very, very difficult at the end to really make out. So from the beginning itself, you have to be very, very systematic. And outline your paper. What is an outline from notes, rules of outlining, planning your beginning and ending of the paper. Uh, we will discuss beginning, ending, very, very important. Then there is always a framework when you write a paper. I give you the simple example that many times, you know, the formats are specified, the word count is specified, the number of pages are specified, and then good journals, know, they charge the overlength charges also, and which are very high. So if I had that bad habit of writing long papers initially, even today also, the problem is many times we feel that we are unable to communicate within the given length of page size. Say some journal says you have to write maximum 8-page paper. Conferences I am not talking about right now. Conference okay, but I am talking about journals. So good journals will give you the page limit also, and if you exceed, they are very, you know, strict about charging this over length charges. And anyway, you have to pay it. Well, it varies from journal to journal, but then within the specified pages, there are no charges in some of the journals, but then overlength charges are there. Then suppose you are not restricting your ideas within the given number. This is an art, how to write the paper and convey it properly within the given frame size. Otherwise, you know, we go bankrupt because the charges are very heavy. Many a times we need to pay in dollars, and then that amount is very heavy for us. So it all depends how you restrict yourself in the given page limit, formatting, style, very, very important for a researcher. Then create your first draft. And many a times, especially when we are students, we understand that our first draft is our final draft. But here is the mistake. Many times, no, we just put the paper on the head of our supervisor or guide. Yes, sir, this is the paper I have written. Very first cut comes, no, and then we feel that, oh, it's all done. But you know, from experience, I say that if you want to write a good paper, before giving it to your guide or supervisor, you need to draft, redraft, and redraft. So at least I'm saying 3 iterations are needed. At least it may vary, but at least 3 iterations are needed from first author side, and then finally, you know, the guide may read and again give suggestions. Again, you have to change. Again, it goes. You submit. Reviewers will read. Reviewers will again give some suggestions. Major revision, minor revision. You do it. Again, submit it. Again, maybe some changes. Finally accepted if you are lucky enough. Or suppose it is rejected, no problem. You have to find that where are the problems in the paper. If you have to do some additional work or you have to rewrite it, fine, modify and then submit it again in the relevant proper journals. This is how the journey goes. There is no point in, for me also, many papers got rejected, my papers. So what? There are some reasons, and we have to respect the reviewers' comments, and then finally we have to modify, we have to rework, and see that we are communicating in a proper way. So this journey is tedious, but no matter. Ultimately, if we are committed researchers, this kind of journey we have to, you know, encounter, and then absolutely there is no problem, no regrets. If you are hardworking, doing good research, honest in research, and ready to learn the art of writing papers, you will enjoy this journey also. Then finally you understand, okay, that now outline of the paper is ready. And sometimes it takes a lot of time writing the paper, and it takes many days, many days, many days. Sometimes I give to my students also, and I ask them, okay, are you ready with the first draft? They say, yes, sir, we are ready. Tomorrow we'll give. Then after 2 days again I ask. They say, okay, we are ready. Tomorrow we'll give. I know it happens with any student, even with me also. But then every time when we say I'll give tomorrow, that means no, we are saying ourselves, oh, okay, yes, so many things are still pending and we have to work hard. It takes a lot of time to write a very good paper. Several days, sometimes months also, I have taken for writing my research papers. And revise and edit your draft. Now, this is revision. First draft itself takes a lot of time. Revising sometimes, it's very cumbersome job, but we need to do it. And then you think, okay, something else is also required to be done in it. You may have to change certain portions to make it more effective. Do it. And then present your paper. You are very happy. Okay, I'm submitting the paper, I'm presenting the paper. So this is how the journey goes. And then you present it, and then, you are very happy. You get recognition. So where to publish? A transaction or conference? There is no doubt that transaction publication with your photo and CV appended in it is very prestigious and brings you a lot of status in the professional community. Oh yes, of course. It is often said that one transaction paper is worth of 4 conference papers. May not be always true, but in general I am saying, or sometimes even it is more than that. So you may publish some conference papers here and there, find any researcher, but if you have published a good impact factor, renowned journal paper, then it's a different thing. You get more recognition. I am very clear about this because I have experienced it. So this is always having the upper edge, that if you have good journal papers, generally which are indexed in good indexing databases like Scopus, Web of Science, EBSCO, ABDC, and many more are there.
पर मतलब उनने ऐसा लिखा है ना कि जूनी जगह पे आपको भेजा था.
Okay, so what is published in transactions? Results of research which have archival value.
वो अलग चीज है.
Invention and or investigations generating current interest
भेजा और आपको
or
नहीं
has
मिला वो एक अलग चीज है.
invention and or investigations generating current interest or has potential importance in future. No matter if our research paper is not immediately found useful, but suppose it generates a new future trend, you can definitely publish. And sometimes it happens that you are not successful. You find some way that, oh, this is not the way of doing it. You can publish that also, and you say people, okay, this
वो क्या चीज पे बोल रहा है वो एक बार समझो. अगर वो बोल रहा है स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड कराना है तो जाना पड़ेगा.
my sincere request to members attending that please switch off the microphone so that when I am talking there is no other disturbance. If there is any question, you can turn on the microphone. Yeah. So invention and or investigations generating current interest or has potential importance in future. Several times, no, it is a future trend, may not be immediately relevant, but then it doesn't stop you publishing. You say something is wrong way to do certain thing. So that technology, even if you are not getting successful results, but still if you are publishing the right things, it is useful for other researchers to know, okay, yes, that this way we cannot do it. So there are many things that we have to understand. All the time, there may not be positive results in the research. Sometimes you will find some new way of doing it and find some way that these are wrong approaches. But those also you can report for the benefit of the researchers, for the community of your research area. Often state-of-the-art survey papers by experienced professionals are also published, like invited papers. Beginners cannot write like this. So it is all for the experienced people. And that is, I'm saying, the state-of-the-art survey papers. These are the things which you can publish. Contents. For a technology topic, the results of research may include description, mathematical analysis, simulation study, and experimental results. I tell you, many times the researchers are happy finishing simulation studies, and then experimental verification is not done. Because experimental verification is very difficult task. It requires a lot of laboratory equipment, whatever may be the area or field of research. And not only that, it requires large amount of efforts also, many more things. So if we are in hurry of publishing and then only simulation studies, see, there is a warning. Now the good publishing houses, good journals do not accept papers if they are not having the experimental results in it. So implementation, experimental verification is now very, very essential. And the chances of acceptance will also increase if you have proper experimental results supporting your idea. Yes, take it granted from me that experimental results are very, very important. For a new and emerging type technology, description with analysis or adding simulation results may suffice sometime, not always. Something which is very new, you may not have availability of test setup or experimental setup. It requires $1 million of setup. Things may be different in that case. But generally, I say we need to have experimental results also. When to start writing a paper? Writing paper is not a just critical, but a continuing part of the research process. Underline this word, continuing part of the research paper process, which should start soon after the commencement of the research. The day you start thinking about the research, you start writing. Yes, at least you start writing your ideas, keywords, notes. You start writing. So should start soon after the commencement of the research and continue to end beyond its completion. So the writing part is to be continued beyond the completion of the research. Yeah, that's what we do. So from the very first day of your beginning the research, you have to start writing also. Yes. Writing a paper begins as soon as you start thinking about and reading around your research. See this? As soon as you start thinking about and reading around your research, because when you start reading, you start noting down. Writing a good paper tests expertise in writing skills of communication. Yes. It is like telling a story to somebody which should be clear, concise, and well organized with logical flow of expressions. See, writing a paper is not that simple, writing a story, but there should be a storyline in the paper also. That is what we are. There's a continuity, line to line, paragraph to paragraph, section to section, from title to conclusion. There should be a seamless reading to the reader. And that is the good authorship. It is always a good idea to review some good papers published by well-established and reputed authors. Yes, I already said that. Sequencing the sections and subsections in a paper. You have to do, sometime you have to rework on it, and then some kind of sequencing. Again, you change the sequencing. You see there how effectively you are conveying your idea. So that seamless reading of the paper, you need to organize. Organizational thinking is required here. That how to organize different parts of the paper. That's the point. So that there is no sudden surprise for the reader. See, even reader is surprised by reading one paragraph and then going to the next paragraph, again something new immediately appears. Reader will be surprised. So you have to generate the appreciation for every next line, every next paragraph, and then put it in such a way that with the curiosity and understanding, reader reads. And if the reader develops a question in every line, then finally, he may not end up completing the paper. And then who is the first reader of your paper? After you. And that's your referee, the reviewer. So if the reviewer gets a lot of questions, it's not a good sign. And that is why we have to write a paper. And we must read it and understand that the third person is reading and understanding the paper. You know your research. So even if sometime you have some question, you have the answer in back of your mind, and then you be satisfied. But no, the reader may not be knowing it completely. So if any such question comes in the mind of the reader, you have to write in such a way that that question is not arised, or even if it is arised, it is satisfied soon in the next portion of the text of your paper, or at least by the end of the paper. Yes. So structural. It is an iterative process. It is a cyclic process. Organization required, discipline required, and convention is required. You need all these things to arrange properly in your paper. So the macro structure of your paper shapes the contents you have for different sections of your paper. You have to do macro level structuring of your paper, which determines when and how far you develop your ideas and understand your evidence. Simplicity in writing. See, scientific papers, technological papers, we need to put simplicity in the writing. Every difficult work presents us with a choice of whether to judge the author inept for not being clear, or ourselves stupid for not grasping what is going on. So that's what we need to write in a more simpler way, so that it is easy to understand for the readers. Simplicity in writing. Writing with simplicity requires courage, for there is a danger that one will be overlooked, dismissed as simple-minded by those with a tenacious belief that impassable prose is a hallmark of intelligence. No. So most of the time, I generally try to keep my writing simple so that anybody can understand. The big jargons are not required while writing a scientific or technical paper. Of course, the domain words, the technical scientific words, okay. But otherwise, language wise, we don't have to use very sophisticated language, but the simple language, short sentences, not too much long sentences, short sentences. These skills, recognizing when you need to redraft your paper or a part of it, knowing when you have done enough drafting, preventing the process of writing a paper becoming an endless task. This kind of task, endless task becomes when you are writing your thesis, and especially the introduction chapter of your thesis. I have faced this. Even sometimes my students also face this. That when you are writing introduction part of the paper or especially the thesis, you never know where to stop because you have so many things to write. You have done enough reading of so many papers. Now there it is a task how to effectively gather the information and put it in a concise form where the reader should not tell that this is also not sufficient. And that's the challenge. That's the challenge. That is to be learned by all of us. See, we all are learners. If somebody has written 100 papers, it does not mean that that person knows so many things about it. Every day we are learning how to write it more effectively, and this journey is endless. Knowing that you are writing a technical paper and not a novel or series of stories. Linking sections to develop a storyline. Yes, all the sections of your paper must be linked properly because you are presenting a central idea in a paper. Keywords are there for your paper. Surprisingly, sometimes, see, when I get any paper for reviewing, I first see the title and then I see the keywords and then I see the conclusion. Many a times, surprisingly, the keywords are not there in the title and nothing is talked about the title in the conclusion. Then how this is a close fit? So a close fit of ideas is required from beginning, that is from title up to the conclusion of the paper, and that is true for thesis also, and some way it is true for a proposal also. So we come to the title of the paper, the first, but I tell you, I write title of my paper at the end. Once I write the paper, I finish it, and then I come to know, okay, no, idea is there, central idea is there, of course, but the exact title, even sometime one paper, for one paper, I write 5-6 different titles by differently arranging the keywords. And words arranged in different way have different meaning. So we have to see that which arrangement gives the best reflection of our work. So deciding the title of the paper is very crucial and important. Why? Because now all search engines will also produce the search to other researchers depending on the title. So that if a title is missing some keyword, then the researchers looking for that keyword may not see your paper. And then you get less citations. Oh yes. Am I clear? So in order to get the reasonably good citations, of course, the proper citations, we need to decide the title of the paper also properly. effectively, correctly, appropriately. Each word counts in title because title cannot be infinitely long. So, the title of the paper should clearly reflect your contribution in the paper. That's very simple to say. And many times don't start the title from new, novel, A, D. These things avoid because those things are not required. This is general trend I am talking about. Power of words. So I said no, words differently arranged have a different meaning, and meanings differently arranged have different effects. So you have to arrange words in proper way so that you are correctly reflecting your work through your title of the paper or thesis or proposal. An abstract of the paper. Oh, abstract. Most of the time, in general, we have got the limit of 200 words or maybe sometime 250 words to write an abstract. Now, within 200 words, you are tempting your reviewer to read your paper further or to make a decision of accepting or rejecting your paper. So the abstract which is read first, it is written last. The abstract which is read first, it is written last in the paper. Written last means we write it lastly when we finish the paper, but it appears on the front page of the paper. It is read first, but it is written last. So it's a window to show the paper. Thing first? No, not always. Though the abstract is the first section of a paper, write the abstract after completing the other sections of the paper. This is the thumb rule for writing an effective abstract. Now, what is that? So, writing abstract should contain the main portion of your paper like squeezing juice from a fruit. And a well-written abstract attracts more readers and increases the chance of citation of your paper by authors. There is some guideline. That is what I feel, but you may differ. You may have your own style of writing, but if at least these many things are accommodated somehow in the abstract within the given limited words, then it's a good abstract. Always follow this order when you write an abstract. Problem? What is the problem? And how does it affect the research and the society? Method? What did you do? And how did you do to get your results? Findings? What are the significant findings of your experiment? What did you learn, infer, discover, etc.? And then finally, the conclusion. What is the one big conclusion? This should correlate to your problem defined in step 1. Close fit again. So, abstract should have at least these 4 main things within those 200 words. Effective abstract writing is also to be learnt. And all this information should be crisp within 120 words, sometime 150, 200, 250 words, not more. After writing an abstract, edit your abstract and edit again until you are satisfied with your abstract. Yes. There have been incidences that I redraft the abstract for 8 times in my paper. 8 times. Not satisfied, again rewrite. Not satisfied, again rewrite. And then just do it and fine tune it, fine tune it, fine tune it. Each word counts. And finally, you reach to those 200 words which are fully conveying about your research in that paper. Remember, a good writing is a result of hard work. You get well written copy after 4 or 5 iterations depending on your writing skills. This is just abstract. And similar is true for the complete paper and of course thesis or proposal also. Then comes introduction. Because you know, after title, after abstract, you have keywords and then introduction. The most difficult part of the paper is writing an introduction. Here in the beginning, you must highlight broadly the general importance of your work and why it is important in a convincing way. You generate appreciation for your work. Why people should read your paper. So in the introduction part, you are generating appreciation for your work. The next step is description of the past contributions with references on which your contribution is based. Yes, this is what we do. So we describe about the contributions of other researchers. We develop a basis and then emphasizing why your contribution is novel and superior to other. What is the novelty? What is the contribution by this author in this paper is to be spelled properly here. Any suspicion that the contribution is not of your own and stealing from others should be dispelled clearly here in the introduction portion. See, we give respect to others' work, but then we have to also tell very, very clearly that what is the original contribution in this paper by the researchers. Otherwise, most of the time, the reviewer will say, novelty is not properly, seen or written, or what is the contribution by the researchers is not properly written, so paper is not accepted. Most of the time, they ultimately say it's lack of novelty of the idea, nothing new, it is trivial, and that is not that really the work is not novel, but that sometimes the author is not in a position to write it properly. Are you getting it? Oh yes, it happens that many times now our work is good, but because of the poor presentation, paper is not accepted. That's the point. Structuring paragraphs, you have topic, main body of paragraph, and then you finally put several sentences in such a way that the central idea of the paragraph is, and then do not keep very lengthy paragraphs also in a paper. Short sentences and reasonably short paragraphs also. If you find some sentence to be very, very long, break it into several sentences. That's the good idea. Then link element, frame element, and deliver element. So this is how, these are some terms come in writing. So we have to, there are different models of writing then. Focused literature review, then you talk about core, you give analysis, and then discussion and conclusion. Then you see the portion of the core is very, very important. And then ultimately the discussion and conclusion. So what should be the writing? That is value added and accessibility, both. So sound professional text will have both high level value added and high level accessibility also. It's not a popular writing or it's not dense writing, but it is sound professional writing. Choosing vocabulary, avoid and what to use. See, I'm just trying to give some examples here. Present future tense you avoid and past perfect tense to be used. Of course, you are free to choose your own vocabulary, but I'm just giving some idea, tips. I was told to give some tips. So based on my experience, unnecessary jargons, over verbalization to be avoided. Really useful jargons, simplest word forms are to be used. Jungle of complex acronyms not explained to readers, don't use. Use well explained acronyms, simplest form, remind readers from time to time also. Not over reminding, of course. Avoid over capitalizing, minimal capital letters are to be used. But each and everything matters here in a good paper. And what is correct, incorrect? Some examples here. 10 millivolt, that's correct. But see other side, here I can show you. This is not correct. 10 millivolt. There needs to be a space. I am talking about the electrical engineering point of view because my area is that. But in your area also, I think many of the times the SI units and other things, in physics also remains same. And you may also come across some such. So the right way that 5 centimeter plus or minus 1 millimeter, but this is not proper, right? So that's what 10 kilowatts, or simply to write it is 10 kilo, and K will also be small for kilo and not the capital here. The rise time is 10 milliseconds, and we don't say 10 milliseconds. Second is not capital but small, that's the correct. And this way also we don't write millisecond, or this way also not. This is the correct way of writing it. AC/DC converters when you are starting the sentence. So this is correct, and this is not the correct way of doing it. So here there are certain examples, and then in a similar way, you can find out now what is wrong, what is right in general by reading good papers and following the customary of the given publishing house also. Every publishing house, they have got their own way of writing also. Sometime you have to learn and follow it. Again, correct, incorrect. AC/DC handbook for sale, but this is not correct. The output is 10 volt AC or volts AC. The output is 10 volt AC. This is not correct. FETs and ICs are used in modern converters. Oh, but we don't write like this. This is wrong way of doing it. FETs. It is of that FET. And then the FET's gate drive is inadequate. Now this is correct and this is correct, where this is incorrect. So you have to understand the context of the writing also. The FET's gate drive are inadequate. The FET's gate drive is inadequate. So this FET's gate drives, so drives are, and drive is inadequate. That's not proper. So every domain will have its own way of writing. We need to learn correct one. Yeah, this is interesting. It's unusual that its output ripple is high. See, it's written in two different ways, but we cannot write it like this. It's unusual that its output ripple is high. The bus voltage is 15 volts. The bus, now this is not correct. The website is accessible on the internet. The website is on the internet. Is on the internet, is accessible on the internet. So we need to learn the proper grammar also. Many times the grammatical mistakes will also bring out that immaturity, the level of writing, the researcher who is writing the paper. Equations in science streams also, in engineering also. Organize the main equations with appropriate symbols and definition of the symbols. Any symbol, you need to define it also. Whenever first time something is being introduced, you have to define properly. Otherwise, reader will not be clear. No matter whether it is widely used symbol, you have to define it properly. Equations are not only the ornaments of the paper, but essential too. If possible, at least a few equations are always desirable in a paper. Thesis, of course, you will have more equations. Sometimes, students say, no, no, my work, no, in my paper, there are no equations. No, that's not all the time true. You need to do the mathematical analysis also of the concept properly and show it. So, invariably, you should have some equations appropriately in your paper. They will add value to your paper. Use commonly used symbols used in the textbooks, and they should always be defined locally instead of using list of symbols in the beginning or end of the paper. Not always, but in general I am talking. The derivation of the equations, if necessary, should be included briefly in the appendix in order to prevent diversion of the reader's attention of the main contribution. If sometimes it's a lengthy derivation, you put as an appendix so that readers are not distracted, and then they go with the flow of the paper, reading the core of your contribution. But if sometime it is necessary to derive something, you can put in line also. You have to decide this based on the situation of the particular equation. Research students writing. So equations are generally given numbers like this, in bracket. And then we refer it by number. As you see here, when referring to an equation in a sentence, simply use 1. We don't write equation 1, except it is at the starting of the sentence. So generally we say, okay, simply use 1, except at the beginning of the sentence you have to say equation 1 is. So it is seen in 1 that this quantity is dependent on this. We generally say like that. Or if it is starting of the sentence, then say the equation 1 gives the idea about the relation between two terms. Like that we write. So these are small things. But writing in paper, we have to consider all these things. Why we must think visually here? So this comes about the importance of the pictures, diagrams, charts, sometimes tables. So spoken word impact 20%, spoken written 45%, retention, and spoken written and visual 70% retention. So convert this slide into a visual. So what I mean to say that one picture is equal to 1,000 words. So now here is the thing. We understand that one picture equal to 1,000 words, but then we need to spend some time on describing that picture also in our paper. Many times we leave the interpretation of pictures on the reader. No. An author must clearly write what is the picture all about, what does it convey, what is the meaning you infer from this. Give proper caption also, number also, and refer it in the text also. Sometimes the pictures are not referred in text, they are not proper. You have to properly number it, give a caption, refer it, and discuss it in the paper, in the text of the paper, and make useful meaning, draw useful meaning out of it. Don't just leave it on the reader to make meaning out of it. So a diagram like 1,000 word, take time for the people viewing it to absorb. Don't just flash it up on your paper. Properly explain the diagram in the text of the paper. Do not leave it for reader to make out desirable meaning out of the unexplained figures or diagrams. You need to explain that why this diagram is like that, what is the significance, what is the nature, what is the reason, what kind of results you are getting, and all those things are to be explained properly. Let creativity rule. Hmm? So see, this is a picture. Now I just got it from some newspaper. And for example, now here, if you get some few seconds to see this, everybody will have some different opinion on that. But as a what I want to convey out of it, if I am writing and then telling, then everybody will say, okay, this is the meaning. So I mean to say, any picture you are putting in your paper, in your thesis, in your proposal, any diagram, you have to explain it also properly that what you want to convey out of it. Okay, don't just leave it for the reader. So figures, the planning of figures with appropriate labels and titles is very crucial step for preparation of paper. The figures should be fully explanatory and convey clearly contribution in the paper. Include simplified schematic diagram, functional block diagram, flow charts, etc. Instead of directly taking some simulation blocks and putting the simulation model in the paper. No, that is not preferred, not recommended. Make your own flow charts, block diagrams, schematics, drawings, circuit diagrams, equations, charts, tables, all these things in your paper, in your uh, thesis, and explain. And then you can put a reference also, but then properly whatever you are trying to say, convey it in an appropriate way. So for graphs, the grid should be light with clear description of the variables and their scales, x-axis, y-axis, what is the scale, unit. However, the figures can only be finalized after preparation of the full draft paper. Then plan the different sections and subsections with appropriate title and assign the figures in the section. See, one example of figure is given here. So what is that figure? The caption says figure 2.35a, 3-level operation, machine voltage, and then phase current, y-axis, upper trace 1 division is equal to 100 volt, lower trace 1 division is equal to 1.5 ampere, and x-axis 1 division is equal to 10 milliseconds. So this is how you have to clearly tell that what is that in this figure. Tables. Generally, the figure captions are at the bottom of the figure, but table headings are on the top of the table. This is the general way of, if the particular journal has got some different way of writing it, you have to follow it. I am talking about in general. So the tables must be crystal clear, no blurs, no see, readability and clarity should be proper. In all figures should not be too small or too big. It should go with the flow of the font of your paper so that no, it does not pinch to eyes of the readers. Use typography to your advantage. That's what I just said. Don't use a type style that cause a strain to the reviewer or reader of your paper. Now here you can see, right, 4 different fonts. Last one and the first one, they are irritating sometime. But then if you see the second last, that's fine, you know, we go with that. So it all depends whether it's a presentation or it's a paper, how you are presenting, what is the mode. Accordingly, select the typography for your advantage. People should not use magnifying glass to read it. That's what I want to say. Common mistakes. The word data is plural. Pronunciation is with a long A, as in April. Children, people, they are already plural. A parenthetical statement at the end of a sentence is punctuated outside of the closing parenthesis, like this. But a parenthetical statement is punctuated like this. So see the difference here, and here. So we must be aware about this small things also while writing. Some homophones effect, complement, discrete, principal. Invariably, people use it, anyone for any meaning, but that's not proper. Notice, note, imply, infer. The person making the statement implies, the listener or reader infers. The prefix known is not a word. It should be joined to the word it modifies, usually without a hyphen, as non-isolated. You may have your own way of writing it, but I am just giving some tips. There is no period after the et in Latin abbreviation et al. The abbreviation that is means that is, that IE, that means that is. Similarly, for example, do not use compound prefixes. Use of compound prefixes is not allowed. Their use is a clear indicator of the chronological age of the author. Do not write millimicroseconds for 1 billionth of a second. So millimicro, actually it's a nanosecond, right? It's nanosecond. Yeah. So instead of that, write nanosecond. That and which. Use that in a defining relative clause and which for non-defining relative clause. So the technique that has just been proved permits us, you can write like this, and this therefore, this theorem, which was proved by Akagi, permits us. So see the use of that and which. Can and may. According to 7, that is equation 7, this expression can be written as, interested readers may request copies of the report, may request. See? So, all these things are important in writing a paper. Table captions are centered at the top of table. Figure captions are centered below the figure. Avoid placing a table or figure before it is mentioned in the text. Sometimes you are writing about the table or text on page number 5, but it appears on page number 3 of the paper. That creates confusion to the reader. So be very, very careful. First, it should appear in the text, and then that picture should appear in the paper. Use the abbreviation figure 1 when referring it to the text, in the text. Proper English, very important. Correct English composition, grammar and spellings are extremely important in the paper writing. Occasional English errors annoys the reviewers of the paper and may be a ground for rejection. Any fuzziness or ambiguity of expression should be avoided. Even knowing good English is not enough. Excellent technical writing for transactions remain a difficult art. Needless to say that in spite of excellent contribution, majority of papers get rejected because of poor organization of the paper and poor English. And when we write conclusion, see the central idea. So how do we do that? Title, abstract, keywords, introduction, then mathematical analysis, your core idea, hypothesis build, then you analyze mathematically, then you describe, discuss, and then finally you may have simulation studies, you have the solution, and then you have the experimental verification, and at the end you have discussions and conclusions, and then finally the list of references in the paper. So the conclusion part that comes last, but most of the time it is read first, mainly by reviewers. As I said, reviewers are generally reading the title, the abstract, keywords, and then conclusion. And they try to see the close fit. So even though it is appearing at last, it is sometimes read first. Hence the most delicate part. It is the essence of any study and should best reflect the analytical abilities of the author. Conclusion. Conjure up a brief analytical summary for the paper statement that you followed. Present the analysis from your point of view and support it with facts and figures already illustrated into your study, that is data and review of literature. Interpret your results by keeping it in lieu with the paper statement. Discuss the implications of the findings. Elaborate and pinpoint the areas that could use more research in future. This is what your conclusion should have. So, finally, the results and significance of the contribution are discussed in conclusion. Some amount of overlapping on conclusion with the abstract is not uncommon. Mind well, this is very, very important. Some amount of overlapping of conclusion with the abstract is not uncommon. It means that it is common. A good paper, you will see some overlapping of the things in conclusion and abstract. Then only it's a close fit. So whatever you said in the abstract, you proved it in the conclusion. So this is the right way of doing it. You may have some words overlapping in conclusion and abstract. Yes. Format for references. If you are using any book, this is how we write it. But not necessarily. There may be a different formatting style also. I am just giving one. This is basically the IEEE style of writing it. Well, you may have your own writing style, or depending on the journal in which you are submitting the paper, you have to follow their traditions, or depending on the thesis that you are writing for the given university in which you have registered, that university will also have its own way of formatting the thesis. So you have to follow the customary, I mean to say, but properly. So this way you can refer some books, see the name of author, then title, then edition, then volume, then the publishing house, the year and the page number. If you are referring some periodicals, the author, the title, the IEEE transaction, that is the journal name, volume, year, issue, page, so year, everything you have to mention. So these are some of the examples. Article from conference proceedings which are published, authors, paper title, in proc, that is in proceedings, IOOC, ECOC, some name of the conference, year and page number. Paper presented at conference, unpublished. So you can have a look. But whatever style you are following, you must follow it throughout in your paper or thesis or the proposal. Do not keep on changing it in between. That is very important. There should be consistency in the style what you follow in writing. Standards, patents, technical reports. You define the question and you deliver the answer. So, an interesting and original question or topic and an interesting and original answer, the skill of providing each are rather different. So, you have generated a question or research problem, and then you are solving it and you are providing the answer. So there are varieties of ways of giving the answers to the question. So a very loose fit between question and answer is not good, and you need a close fitting between question and answer. So you remember the three steps I said, that you tell what you want to say, you say, and then you said, you inform that I said. So here there should be a close fit, that what you wanted to say and what you said. Loose fitting is not recommended. Redundant themes or theory components could be the issue. Conflicting themes or theory message may occur. Untheorized empirical analysis blur the message. So that is why you have to be very crystal clear while writing the paper or thesis. Testing each sentence. Does the sentence build the thesis, advance the argument, enhance the overall impression? Fine. Blur the argument, repeat material, throat clearing, assess. Forward development, create a liability, cut out. Unnecessary claims are not to be made, either in paper or thesis or proposal. Those are time bombs. I mean to say, after some time, reviewer will read it and then they will raise questions on it. So do not write unnecessary claims. Be very, very simple and to the point. Act on every problem, say exactly what you want. Be factually and argumentatively right. Be appropriate for research level. No baby talks here. So in research, you have to be, and no overclaiming also. So commonly done mistakes here are unclear scope of the work, hard to justify research methods, undue weightage to previous works, poor quality of charts, diagrams, tables, partial bibliography, especially web references, source document patents, questionable quotes and methods of evidencing, inadequate notation system, discontinuities, grammar, long sentences, redundant sentences. Oh, so we need to avoid all these things. See, in our writing, whatever you are writing, paper or chapter or thesis or proposal, be very, very careful about these things. Because if you are not taking care of this, somebody will ask you to take care of that, especially your reviewers or referees. So do things right first time to avoid them. Okay, fine. So this way it goes. Now flowchart for writing a transaction paper. See, it is an iterative process, and you can see the backstepping, backstepping, backstepping. Again, from the last step to first step also you are coming back. Plan an appropriate title, list author, co-author, collect all relevant references, plan figures, plan section, subsection, collect material for each section, subsection, write draft paper, finalize all figures, prepare final paper, again go back, again do it, again go back, and finally Before submitting the paper, don't make the mistake. Many times, no, they don't show to the guide and then they submit. No, 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 no. Show it to your guide. Seek all the valuable suggestions, incorporate them, show it again to the guide that yes, what was told, it is incorporated, and finally, with the permissions, it is to be submitted. Whatever the process, either guide submits, student submits. My point here to say only that all the guide and the student and the entire team, whatever, whoever are the authors, they must clearly see it, modify it, suggest the corrections, all corrections to be incorporated, and finally, a checked copy is to be submitted. Are the figures crystal clear? Check. Adequate levels. Have you expressed everything correctly, clearly, concisely, and in logical sequence? Forgotten any relevant reference? Is the paper formatting and length okay? Are there errors in English? And then the final checks. See these final checks. They are self-explanatory. You just read, have a look. When you are submitting any paper, any thesis, any proposal, there is no I, we, he, she, or my in the core text. See, sometimes no, some students know unknowingly they write no. This was very difficult task, but then I worked hard and my guide corrected it, and finally we have published this paper. All those things are not required to be written. And there is no in this chapter in the thesis. What happens? I tell you, many times we write papers, or sometimes we convert a chapter of the thesis in a paper. So by mistake, in thesis it appears that in this paper, and paper appears that in this chapter. That's not proper. So we have to be careful. Has your research supervisor taken a final look of the paper or thesis? That you must always ask yourself at the end. If not, don't be in a hurry. Let your research supervisor give all the corrections. So this way you have the checklist, one and the same. And there is a primary contributor who should be the first author. Then co-authors should be selected. It is unethical to be a co-author of a paper without making any contribution in the paper. In the same way, it is not ethical to add the name of the project manager, financial supporter, or department head as co-author unless they have made contributions. ये होता है, it happens sometimes. So we have to be ethical. And finally, don't plagiarize. And then we say the peer review process. See, when you have the paper accepted, but before that reviewers are there, and I say that critical comments always helpful for the researcher. So we must take these comments positively and then work on our papers. Yes. So we must value, respect the views of reviewers and try to improve our paper or chapter or thesis or proposal. Be prepared for any possible review result. Paper gets recommended for acceptance in the present form. Minor revision, you are the luckiest one. Paper gets recommended for an acceptance, however, the author has to do major revision. Okay, fine, no problem. You can do it. Furnish satisfactory clarifications to queries during writing the paper. Incorporate corrections indicated, but the corrected paper will be reviewed again, and then may also happen. Paper gets no recommendation, and before any recommendation, reject with resubmission. Verification to queries are to be furnished or paper is to be resubmitted with suggested modifications. That may also come. And paper does not get recommendation, not gets, does not get recommendation for acceptance and rejection. Or rejection may happen, no problem. So we don't get disheartened as researcher. We work upon further on improving it and we resubmit it in appropriate journal. Impact factor, we should know what is the impact factor of the journal. The impact factor, often abbreviated IF, is the measure reflecting the average number of citations to articles published in a journal. So, and then the Thomson-Reuters and now Clearweight Analytics gives the for Web of Science gives the impact factor of the journals. Sometimes the journal homepage will also show you the impact factor, but many of the times the bodies, the accrediting and ranking agencies, they take the Clearweight Analytics impact factor for consideration for the journal. So we have to see that what is the impact factor. ISI, Institute for Scientific Information, now part of Thomson-Reuters. And how to calculate impact factor in a given year? The impact factor of a journal is the average number of citations received per paper published in that journal during the two preceding years. For example, in a journal, if a journal has an impact factor of 3 in 2008, then its paper published in 2006 and 7 received 3 citations each on average. So this is how the impact factor is calculated. Just an example is shown here for your information. And that's why, see, while writing the paper, we always focus on the high impact factor journals. But at the same time, it is very challenging to get paper accepted in high impact factor journal. Always it's not doable. So gradually a researcher will rise the level, and initially we may target a few journals where it is little easier to get paper accepted, but fair enough if it has got a peer review process, good review process, and no unnecessary charges. Like there are certain open access journals also available. So you have to see, you have to consult your peers and guides that which journal is good for you, which will fetch more recognition for you, which will be considered for further also in your CV for promotion, for better recognition, for considering the value of your research and contribution, for getting new jobs or new research positions. These things matter a lot at some level of your career. So I mean to say, just a lighter side of it, that how this impact factor. So good impact research. So we say, okay, Newton, found that apples fall, and then they say, okay, law of gravity. So high impact, something new, novel, somebody finding. And now we say, okay, oranges also fall, and then same idea here, law of gravity, but then it's a low impact factor, low impact paper. So there should be some novelty in the work. I mean to say, not reinventing the wheel. Citations. A citation index is an index of citations between publications, allowing the user to easily establish which later document cite which earlier document. While citation indexes were originally designed for information retrieval purpose, they are increasingly used for bibliometric and other studies involving research evaluation. Citation data is also the basis of the popular journal impact factor, and not only now citation number of citations, okay, Scopus, Google Scholar, but
Professor Kekwani, sorry to interrupt you.
yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
sir, we will have to wind up in 5 minutes because we will have last 5 minutes for question answers.
Oh, I see, no problem. Uh, yeah, so uh, yeah, this is the thing, because once a professor starts, then the lecture goes on, but somebody should be there to really interrupt. So here, citation important, and then according to number of citations, your papers are judged. Yes, yesterday only I was attending a. I think some of you must have also attended that Knowledge Consortium of Gujarat had arranged one webinar on NIRF and GSIRF ranking, and there also it was told that the how many citations are there for a publication accordingly. They judge the know that how significant is the research contribution from the researcher. Thesis writing, there are certain points. Follow the format prescribed by the university. Do not put any extra claims. That is very dangerous. Whatever you have done, you write. Do not overclaim it. Do not use more fancy terminologies if not exactly relevant. Just for the sake of no, don't. Be very simple in writing and correct and to the point. Read it as third person, as referee, and see if any question is generated, you answer it in the text. Proper and correct language, clearly specify the novelty, short sentences, clear figures and charts, close fit between objective and conclusion, don't form an incomplete argument, never. Be very, very careful in this. Otherwise, this will be a question by the referee. Don't form opinion without evidence. Don't submit your initial drafts. I mean to say you have to redraft, check it, correct it, and finally submit the final one. Don't use words and phrases you are not familiar with. Unnecessarily don't get involved in such things. Don't leave things to the last minute. Thesis writing, and then you become ready. Many a time thesis writing means last few days are remaining uh, uh, to expire the registration duration, and then you are in hurry. Many times it happens on the very last day of your registration expiring. You are submitting the thesis. No. Always plan it properly so that there is no pressure, and you can very nicely, calmly write your thesis in a better way. Develop a flow from first chapter to the last. Elaborative reference list, extensive literature review all to be presented. Critical overview and future scope of the research work. This is must. You should critically give the overview of your research at the end and future scope of work for the future researchers. Take proposals when you are writing close fit with the theme of the funding agency. See, it's not that any idea comes to you and then you will get fund for it. Every agency has got their own themes. And if your proposal is not fitting into that theme, you may not get funding. Clearly specify deliverables, outcome of the research, state current scenario of the technology, what delta upliftment that you are going to propose in your work, which you are seeking the funding. Proposals are reviewed by peers. So don't only think that okay, the funding agency has rejected my proposal. No, because these proposals go to peers of the same area and they decide based on the novelty, whether it is to be funded or not. Realistic, novel, beneficial to the society, or industrial use or problem solving, such proposals are accepted better, more. Do not be too demanding on funds for equipment or travel. You have to be very judiciously asking about the funds. Some funding agencies, Department of Science, DST, DBT, UGC Stride, ICSSR, GSBTM, Post. There are many schemes, SPARK, BRNS, ICMR, SICI, Department of Higher Education, MOWR, IMS, SERV, AIU, ISRO, many. So all these funding agencies are there where you can submit your proposals. Their own formats are available. And there are certain references here I am putting for my talk here. So now you are ready. All the best. Write something good. And my best wishes with you. Thank you very much. I understand that I am finishing on time. I started on time, finished on time. And now here the forum is open for discussion. I am not an expert that who can solve all the doubts. But if you have any query, I will try to give satisfactory answer on that. So please, any participant, if you want to
Yes.
share any.
Yes, sir. I want to ask sir one thing. So it was
Yes,
very
ma'am.
informative and wonderful, sir. Very useful talk from your side, sir. I just
Thank you.
wanted to know. We have heard that because we are beginners. We have heard that we have to publish papers while doing research. So
Huh.
this publishing papers on which topic or the topic which we have selected already for research or something else, sir?
Huh. Good question, madam. When you are, suppose you are a student, some PhD student, or maybe a faculty member, you are doing some research on a particular topic. So it is generally expected that you publish in that domain, in that area of research.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely, when your higher authorities will assess the work, they will see how relevant is the task on which you have published, whether it is in your area. And see, I cannot publish in some other areas because I have no much knowledge or I have not done any work. So I can only
Yes.
publish in some area in which I have really worked, I mean to say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So then, how we will know in which journal we have to publish? Whom
Ah,
we have
yes.
to?
Yes. No. Good question. This is very important. Sometimes the beginner or student may not know that which journal is suitable or better to publish.
Yes,
Generally, the research supervisor, guide, or the peer team of the department helps in this one. And always seek guidance from your seniors, your mentors about
yes,
identifying a good journal. And then with your experience, once you start doing it, publishing it, you will also gain the experience. And while reading the papers, generally it is preferred that very high impact factor journal and
yes,
indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, or such indexing database. But at the same time, if somebody selects very high impact factor journal, then chances are there that because of huge competition, paper may not get accepted. So it may be a better idea to publish in a journal which has got a medium impact factor. So it all depends. I am not saying that target the lower hanging fruits. I mean to say it's not that we just publish in some ordinary journals. We should always aim high for good journals. But at the
yes,
same time, we have to see what's the level of what's the novelty, and accordingly, appropriate journal is to be selected, taking the guidance of the research supervisor.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Any other question, please?
Participants, you can ask questions or type question in the chat option.
Yeah, sir, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Yeah. Many times white papers are written in the industry So can I take the same guidance what you just given right now to write those type of papers also?
Yes, yes. In fact, I refer many white papers. For example, in my area, ABB, General Electric Company, Siemens, and many more other companies, they write white papers, and we refer them for very good, understanding about the area topic. Very useful. So, if you also want to write like that with some industry collaboration or whatever co-authorship, definitely in white paper also I say that the procedure to be followed remains similar.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Correct,
Yes,
correct.
yes.
Yeah, because I'm going to do one. That's why, when I will connect with the industry
Oh, yes.
peers. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think I can follow the same. Great
Oh,
knowledge,
yes,
sir.
yes, definitely. And in fact, there they put many experimental analysis also, depending on their expertise and then market feedback and so many things. And mathematical analysis, field trial studies, case studies.
Right.
So those are, very, very informative for the readers.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for the guidance. Thanks.
Yes,
Sir, can I ask you one question?
yes, please.
Yeah, sir, when we are going through the research papers, we will be going through many papers and there will be a set of notes which we have made. Maybe we can call it as a critical analysis of the papers which we have gone through before preparing our own paper. So
Yes.
maybe we can start with one critical analysis or say analysis, review analysis of the papers which we have read in that manner.
Yeah, I touched upon on that issue. Most of the time, well, fine. If student wants to write a review paper or anybody wants to write a review paper based on reviewing many papers or doing literature survey, no harm. But generally, such kind of review papers are when they are written by some experts who have many publications in that area since many years. They have been working in that area and they are sharing their experiences, and then they are putting the critical comments on the different techniques, topologies, and other things. But anybody can in general write review paper, but these review papers are generally valued when they are written by the authorities or experienced people.
Right. No, it was from my point of view that it will give me a little highlight of my writing this thing that will develop my writing skills on that matter. That will my way of
Yeah.
thinking.
But in order to get some writing skills hands-on, it's always better to initially write one conference paper also. There are two advantages. One, that you are writing a paper, and then not only writing, you are submitting, getting review results, modifying, submitting, and then you are going and presenting the paper also. So you get feedback on your research. You can develop good networking also by meeting other peers in the conference, and that how others are working and how they are presenting their papers. So initially, if you want to really learn this process, the procedure of writing the papers or art of writing, it's not bad idea to write some good conference papers also.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else? If you have any point, we can discuss in this regard. So I wish you all the best, and all of you do good research and publish nice papers and get good recognition from your research work. I wish you all the best.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I have a question, sir.
Ah.
Thank you, sir. The session was very informative and very nice. Sir, what is the difference between research article, notes, and review article?
Research article and review article, they are different. Notes, what you said, notes are totally different. Now, the research article means, see, even when you are submitting in a good journal, they will ask, there will be a radio button, that what is the type of paper, whether it is a review paper, whether it is research paper or whether it is article in any special issue of the journal. So research article means that you have worked upon on a topic and you have some findings and you are presenting your findings.
Okay,
That is
sir.
your research paper.
Okay,
Review
sir.
paper is that you have reviewed many papers doing the extensive literature analysis and you are giving a comprehensive view of the technology or science available in that area by referring many other works and then arranging in proper chronology and sequence and making the useful inference out of that and presenting it for other researchers is a good source of reading. So there, it's not necessary that you have worked on all those things like that. So you are not presenting your own idea in that, but in research paper, you are presenting your own idea.
Okay, okay, sir.
And
Sir,
notes are different because they are not paper structure here.
sir, I have one more question. What are Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals, sir?
Hmm. Q.
Q1, what are Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals?
Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Madam, I don't know really what is this Q1, Q2, Q3. If some participant has got any idea on that, they can tell me. There are some A, B, and C category journals available, but Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, I really don't know.
So first quartile, sir. First quartile, second quartile.
Let's see, mainly the journals, no, they are based on their impact factor, you can classify. And then depending on the impact factor and publishing house and other things, no, you can decide that which is the best journal in your area. But I have certainly no idea about this Q1, Q2, Q3. Sorry, madam.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, any other question? Okay, so thank you very much, Pillai madam. If there are any other things we can discuss, otherwise we can close.
Thank you so much for a wonderful session, sir. Yeah, you can ask.
Acha, good evening, sir and ma'am. High impact factor or low or medium, is there any specific value related to that?
But specific value in the sense, in every area, depending on the area, there are certain ranges of this impact factors. See, for example, in my area of power electronics drives, we have the best journals having the impact factor of around 7 or 8, and we have the medium journals having some impact factor of 2 and 3, and some journals which are having low impact factor, even sometimes 0.7 or 1 or 1.2. So this gives you a range, and then understanding, okay, that which journals are more popular and in fact more rigorously and more quality publications are there. So in every area, accordingly, there will be different range of impact factor. In some of the areas, you may have the range from 2 to 10 also. Sometimes 1 to 12 also. So it depends on which area you are working, and your guide will suggest you the better journal. And then I recommend that every researcher for his own area should know the best journals, their impact factor, the normal journals, their impact factor, and all sort of different journals available in that area and their impact factor, so that you have a thorough idea about journals in your area, and then when you see the quality of your work and you decide that where to publish is the better option.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
there is
sir.
always,
And
there is always a range of impact factors in the area. Yeah.
okay. Very, very nice session. Very informative. And
Thank you.
sir, if I would like to connect with you sometime, actually your subject and my daughter also studying the same subject. So I was just thinking that. So may I take your phone number from Sadafara
Yeah,
ma'am?
it's all there on our Nirma University website, phone number, email ID, everything is available.
No, I'm just asking your permission, sir.
Yeah, it's there. It's there when it is on website. Now everybody can use that number and email ID.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Okay. Any other point? See, this is very nice area actually, publishing, and you more you publish, more you will be thrilled to do it, because you get a lot of I say recognition, and then the context, and then networking, and then you start working with different institutes, professors, develop good context, and overall do better and better research. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. And thank you once again for accepting our invitation and for giving such a wonderful session. As I can see from the chat messages, all the participants have enjoyed today's session a lot. So thank you once again, sir.
Yeah.
So this, yes, sir. So with this, let us end our today's session, and please fill up your attendance sheet, all the participants. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Tekpani, for such a wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, madam. I leave the meeting now. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದಿಲ್ಲ ಮೀಟ್ ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಹಾಕಿದೆ IAS ಇದಾಗಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಐ ಎ ಎಸ್